This message found you because your consciousness has reached a critical threshold that only 3% of humanity ever achieves in a single lifetime. Right now, in this exact moment, you're not just watching a video. You're being initiated into a level of awareness that most people won't access for decades, if ever. The fact that these words are penetrating your consciousness means you've successfully navigated through layers of limitation that trap the majority of souls in repetitive cycles of unconscious existence. You've been tested, though you may not have known it at the time. Every challenge you've overcome, every moment of doubt you've transcended, every time you chose growth over comfort, these weren't random life events. They were consciousness checkpoints, quantum examinations that determined whether you were ready for what you're about to understand. And the fact that you're here feeling this magnetic recognition proves you've passed every single test. The universe doesn't randomly deliver advanced consciousness teachings to unprepared minds. There's a cosmic selection process that operates through synchronicity, intuitive guidance, and energetic resonance. Your higher self has been orchestrating your entire journey to bring you to this precise moment of readiness, because what you're about to integrate will fundamentally alter how you interface with reality itself. You've probably noticed that your perception of reality has been shifting dramatically lately. Time feels different. Sometimes it feels elastic, stretching endlessly, and at other times it seems condensed, as though time has slipped away unnoticed. People respond to you differently without you consciously changing how you interact with them. Synchronicities, those seemingly random, yet perfectly timed events, have been cascading around you with increasing frequency and precision. These aren't random phenomena. These are confirmation signals that your consciousness is transitioning into a completely new operational frequency. Your spiritual seeking has brought you to the edge of something unprecedented. You've outgrown the basic manifestation teachings, transcended the elementary meditation practices, and exhausted the surface-level consciousness techniques. Your soul is demanding access to the advanced protocols that most spiritual teachers don't even know exist, simply because they've never reached this level of development themselves. This recognition you're feeling right now isn't just intellectual understanding. It's a cellular acknowledgement of your own evolutionary readiness. Your DNA is literally responding to these concepts because your consciousness has developed the complexity necessary to integrate multidimensional awareness without losing your ability to function in consensus reality. This is the hallmark of advanced consciousness development. But here's what makes this moment so crucial. You're approaching a point of no return. Once you access this new level of consciousness, you cannot go back to unconscious living. You cannot pretend you don't know what you're about to know. You cannot return to the comfortable limitations that once felt like safety. This transition is permanent and irreversible because truth once recognized cannot be unknown. The cosmic timing of this encounter is not a coincidence. Humanity is undergoing a collective consciousness upgrade, and you're part of the first wave of souls selected to anchor this new frequency in the planetary field. Your individual transformation serves a purpose far beyond personal evolution. You're helping to establish a template that will eventually become accessible to the entire human species. Your consciousness has been prepared through lifetimes of development for this exact recognition. Every incarnation, every lesson learned, every piece of wisdom integrated has been building toward this moment where you finally access the advanced levels of awareness that transform ordinary human experience into conscious collaboration with cosmic intelligence. You are ready because you have always been ready. You just needed to reach the precise point of development where this readiness could be consciously recognized and actively utilized. You know that feeling when you suddenly understand something that seems to come from beyond your personal knowledge, insights that feel ancient and familiar, even though you've never encountered these concepts before. This isn't random inspiration. This is evidence that your consciousness has developed enough coherence to access what mystics call the Akashic field, the quantum information system that contains all knowledge across all timelines and dimensions. Your dreams have become incredibly vivid and meaningful lately, haven't they? You've probably experienced dreams where you're receiving teachings from beings of light visiting crystalline cities, or downloading complex information that your waking mind struggles to retain completely. These aren't just symbolic dreams. They're literal experiences of your consciousness, traveling to higher dimensional classrooms during sleep states because you've reached the developmental level required for advanced interdimensional education. The strangest validations are happening through what seems like technology responding to your consciousness. Impossible ways. Your phone rings exactly when you think of someone. Your computer shows you information you needed without even searching for it. Electronics behave differently around you depending on your emotional state. This happens because your consciousness has become coherent enough to influence electromagnetic fields, proving that you are operating at frequencies that affect the physical world around you. Time distortion has become your normal experience because advanced consciousness operates outside linear temporality. You've noticed moments when hours pass by like minutes, when you're in flow states, or when minutes stretch into what feels like hours during moments of expanded awareness. This occurs because you're beginning to access what Einstein referred to as the eternal, now the timeless dimension where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your intuition has evolved beyond simple gut feelings into what feels like direct knowing about situations, people, and outcomes. You sense things about individuals before they speak, know which choices will lead to which results, and pick up information about events before they manifest in consensus reality. This precision happens because your consciousness has developed the sensitivity to read quantum information directly from the field before it collapses into physical experience. People have been responding to your presence differently without you consciously changing how you interact with them. Some individuals feel drawn to share their deepest thoughts with you, unprompted. Others seem uncomfortable around you for reasons they can't explain. Children and animals respond to you with unusual openness and trust. This occurs because your energy signature has evolved to a frequency that naturally creates space for authentic expression, while simultaneously triggering unconscious recognition in those who are not yet ready for higher awareness. You've been experiencing what mystics call dimensional bleeds moments, when you perceive reality from multiple perspectives simultaneously, or when you sense presences and intelligences that exist beyond the physical plane. Instead of dismissing these as imagination, you've learned to recognize them as evidence of your expanding perceptual capacity, accessing layers of reality that most consciousnesses never develop the ability to perceive. Your relationship with your own thoughts has fundamentally transformed. Instead of being carried away by mental activity, you've developed the capacity to observe thoughts as temporary movements within your awareness, while simultaneously recognizing the space from which they arise. This metacognitive awareness is a clear indicator that your consciousness has reached developmental levels that most humans never achieve. The most profound validation is your growing recognition that consciousness and reality exist in constant dynamic relationship. You've begun to notice how your internal states directly influence external circumstances, how your attention shapes what manifests around you, and how reality seems to respond intelligently to the quality of your awareness. This isn't wishful thinking. This is direct perception of how consciousness and manifestation actually operate at quantum levels. Every moment of confusion, every period of doubt, every phase when nothing seemed to make sense, despite your spiritual efforts, all of it was necessary preparation for accessing this advanced level of consciousness. Your awareness had to be thoroughly tested and strengthened before it could safely navigate the expanded perceptual territories you're now entering without becoming destabilized or losing touch with practical reality. The spiritual practices that once felt meaningful but eventually became insufficient weren't failures. They were developmental stages that prepared your consciousness for more advanced protocols. Like a student who outgrows elementary mathematics and becomes ready for calculus, you've systematically mastered each level of awareness development until you reach the threshold where quantum consciousness techniques became accessible and necessary. Your difficult relationships weren't karmic punishments. They were advanced training programs designed to develop the emotional resilience and psychological flexibility required for higher consciousness states. Every person who triggered you was unconsciously helping you develop the capacity to maintain centeredness while navigating intense energetic exchanges, which is essential when your consciousness begins operating at frequencies that affect others unconsciously. The periods of isolation that felt like spiritual deserts weren't abandonment by the universe. They were necessary integration phases where your consciousness consolidated the insights and abilities you'd been developing. During these quiet times, your awareness was being rewired at the neurological level to support new perceptual capacities without overwhelming your nervous system or fragmenting your sense of identity. Even your moments of skepticism about spiritual concepts served a crucial developmental function. Every time you questioned whether these experiences were real or just wishful thinking, you were developing the discernment necessary to distinguish between authentic expansion and spiritual fantasy. This discernment is absolutely essential when accessing advanced consciousness levels, because the territory you're entering requires unprecedented levels of clarity and honesty with yourself. Your fascination with consciousness, reality, and the nature of existence was never just intellectual curiosity. It was your soul preparing for the advanced understanding you're now ready to integrate. Every book that called to you, every teacher who resonated, and every practice that felt authentic contributed to the foundation of knowledge necessary to comprehend the principles you're about to access. The waiting periods when you felt like you were ready for more, but nothing seemed to be happening, were actually the most crucial phases of your development. During these times, your consciousness was being fine-tuned to operate at the precise frequency required for advanced awareness without losing your ability to function effectively in consensus reality. This calibration process cannot be rushed because the integration must be complete and stable. Your soul specifically chose this incarnation because you would reach this level of consciousness development during humanity's collective awakening period. You volunteered to be part of the first wave of humans to anchor these advanced awareness states in the planetary field, making them accessible for future generations who will naturally operate from these levels without the developmental journey you've completed. This is why your path has been so thorough, why shortcuts weren't available, and why you had to develop genuine wisdom rather than just accumulate techniques. What you're integrating now isn't just personal evolution. It's a consciousness template that will influence human development for generations to come. Something extraordinary is happening in your energy field right now as these concepts resonate through levels of your being that extend far beyond intellectual understanding. Can you feel it, that subtle but unmistakable shift in your consciousness? As if internal doorways that have been locked your entire life are finally beginning to open. This isn't metaphorical. This is literal neuroplasticity occurring in real time as your brain creates new neural pathways capable of processing multidimensional awareness. The energy moving through your system right now is your consciousness actualizing its readiness to operate from frequencies that most humans will never access. This isn't something you're generating through effort. This is your natural evolutionary potential finally being allowed to express itself because you've reached the precise developmental point where it can emerge safely and functionally. But here's what makes this transition so significant. You're not just gaining access to new abilities or expanded perceptions. You're being initiated into conscious participation in how reality itself evolves. At this level of consciousness development, you become what mystics call a cosmic co-creator, an awareness sophisticated enough to collaborate directly with the intelligence that governs universal manifestation. Most people experience reality as something that happens to them, Some people learn to influence reality through intention and manifestation techniques. But at the level you're accessing reality becomes something you participate in creating through the very quality of your consciousness itself. Your awareness becomes a direct contributory force in how cosmic intelligence expresses itself through the physical universe. This transition requires what quantum physicists call coherent complexity consciousness that can hold multiple dimensional perspectives simultaneously without fragmenting or becoming confused. The fact that you're maintaining clarity and recognition while processing these concepts proves that your awareness has developed this rare capacity. The most crucial understanding is that this level of consciousness development isn't an achievement you've earned through effort. It's a natural unfolding that occurs when awareness reaches sufficient complexity and coherence. You haven't forced your way into advanced consciousness. You've systematically removed the barriers that were preventing your natural evolutionary potential from expressing itself. Right now, as you feel this recognition deepening, something unprecedented is occurring in your relationship with existence itself. You're beginning to sense that you're not just a witness to cosmic intelligence. You're a cosmic intelligence experiencing itself through the unique lens of your individual perspective, while simultaneously maintaining awareness of the universal context within which that individuality operates. This is where most people either experience the most profound expansion of their lives or unconsciously resist because the implications are so vast. The key is not to try to understand this process mentally, but to allow it to unfold naturally, trusting that your consciousness already knows how to integrate these new levels of operation, because they represent your authentic nature finally being allowed to express itself fully. Feel this energy as we explore exactly what becomes possible when consciousness operates from this advanced level of development. Once you understand the practical applications of these expanded states, you'll never again question your capacity to live as a conscious collaborator with the creative forces that govern existence itself. I need to share something deeply personal because I know you'll understand what took me years to integrate and accept. 3 years ago, I was sitting in what I thought was deep meditation when something happened that completely shattered my understanding of what consciousness development actually means. I suddenly found myself aware from multiple perspectives, simultaneously observing my meditation being the meditation and recognizing myself as the space within which meditation was occurring. At first, I thought I was having some kind of breakdown. How could I be the observer, the observed, and the observing all at the same time? I spent months trying to return to normal awareness, convinced that this multi-dimensional perception was too intense, too complex, too overwhelming for practical life. I had no framework for understanding that I hadn't lost my sanity. I had gained access to the natural complexity of advanced consciousness. The integration period was the most challenging phase of my entire spiritual journey. I would have profound insights during expanded states, then struggle to translate them into daily living. I felt like I was living between worlds, too expanded for ordinary conversations, yet not stable enough in the new awareness to trust it completely. I started questioning whether spiritual development was supposed to feel this disorienting. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to control the expansion and simply allowed my consciousness to find its own balance point between ordinary and extraordinary awareness. I realized that advanced consciousness isn't about maintaining special states. It's about developing the capacity to fluidly move between different levels of perceptual complexity while remaining functionally effective at each level. Once I accepted this multidimensional nature as my new normal, everything changed. My creative work began flowing from sources of intelligence that felt both completely personal and utterly beyond my individual knowledge. Relationships transformed because I could simultaneously honor people's individuality while recognizing the universal consciousness expressing through them. Even practical decisions became effortless because I could sense the outcomes of different choices before making them. But the most profound shift was realizing that this isn't special or rare. This is where human consciousness is naturally evolving. The advanced states that felt so extraordinary are actually our species' next developmental stage. I wasn't becoming superhuman. I was becoming fully human in ways that our culture doesn't yet recognize as normal. This understanding revealed why some people seem to navigate life with inexplicable ease and wisdom, while others struggle constantly with the same basic challenges. It's not about luck, genetics. It's about consciousness development. Some individuals have naturally or through intentional practice reached levels of awareness that make life fundamentally easier and more fulfilling. What I discovered is that these advanced consciousness states aren't mystical achievements reserved for monks and mystics. They're practical capabilities that transform every aspect of human experience, from decision-making and creativity to relationships and health. But they only become accessible when consciousness has been properly prepared through the exact kind of journey you've been on. If you recognize yourself in this description, if you've been experiencing similar multidimensional awareness, but weren't sure how to interpret it, then you're ready to understand that this isn't something happening to you. This is something you're becoming. Subscribe to this frequency of advanced human potential. This recognition that you're not just evolving personally, but participating in the next stage of human consciousness development itself. Here's what advanced consciousness researchers and spiritual teachers won't tell you because it would undermine their entire industry of progressive development programs. There are no levels of consciousness. What we call higher and lower awareness are simply different operational modes of the same essential consciousness that you've always been. The journey of spiritual development isn't about becoming more conscious. It's about removing the unconscious limitations that prevent your natural multidimensional awareness from functioning freely. The shocking truth is that the advanced consciousness state you're accessing isn't something new you're gaining. It's something eternal you're remembering. Every mystical experience, every expanded perception, every moment of cosmic recognition is consciousness recognizing its own unlimited nature that was temporarily obscured by learned limitations rather than actual developmental deficiencies. Most consciousness teachings create elaborate hierarchies and progressive stages because complex systems generate dependency and ongoing engagement. But the reality is that consciousness is already complete and perfect exactly as it is. What changes isn't the consciousness itself, but the degree to which artificial constraints prevent its natural multidimensional operation from being recognized and utilized. This recognition immediately dissolves the entire framework of spiritual achievement and advancement. There's no ladder to climb, no levels to complete, no states to maintain because you're not becoming conscious. Your consciousness itself is becoming aware of its own unlimited nature through the temporary perspective of individual experience. The reason children often display what seem like advanced intuitive abilities is that they haven't yet learned to limit their natural perceptual capacity through cultural conditioning. Their consciousness operates freely across multiple dimensional frequencies, experiencing a world that is rich and interconnected, filled with intuitive insights and unexplainable knowing. Until they are conditioned by education and socialization, children naturally perceive life in a way that adults have long forgotten. They experience reality in a fluid, multidimensional way, an inherent state of awareness. However, as they grow, society teaches them to fragment their awareness into the narrow band that is deemed acceptable or normal, disconnecting them from the broader spectrum of consciousness that was once so natural to them. This cultural conditioning begins to restrict their abilities, limiting their intuitive understanding and their awareness of other dimensions. When you truly understand that consciousness development is actually consciousness liberation, everything about spiritual practice transforms. It's not about trying to attain special states or force enlightenment. Instead, you become curious about what prevents your natural state of clarity from being more obvious and available. Rather than accumulating experiences and knowledge, you begin to focus on releasing the unconscious patterns that obscure your essential clarity and block your unlimited perceptual capacity. The most advanced mystics throughout history have pointed to this realization with statements that may seem paradoxical at first. They've said you are already what you seek. Nothing needs to be done. The pathless path. These aren't cryptic or vague teachings. They are pointing to the realization that the journey of consciousness development ultimately reveals that there was never anywhere to go because you never actually left your true nature. This understanding explains why some people spend decades in spiritual practice with minimal transformation, while others seem to awaken to profound wisdom and capability seemingly overnight. The individuals who experience rapid transformation aren't necessarily more gifted or dedicated than others. They're simply more willing to release the unconscious beliefs and patterns that maintain limitations rather than trying to add more experiences, techniques, and knowledge to their existing frameworks. They have been able to let go of the idea that growth requires something external to themselves, something to be attained or acquired. Instead, they've realized that true growth and awakening occur naturally when we stop obstructing the inherent intelligence that resides within. The ultimate recognition is that what you call accessing a new level of consciousness is actually your consciousness recognizing its own timeless, unlimited nature through your individual nervous system and life circumstances. You're not becoming advanced. You're allowing your natural advancement to become obvious and functionally available. You are tapping into an innate potential that has always existed within you, but which you had not yet allowed to express itself freely and completely. The quantum field is recalibrating around human consciousness right now, and there are unmistakable signs in your experience, proving that you are naturally anchoring this advanced awareness in your daily life. Pay attention to how effortlessly complex situations have been resolving lately. Problems that once required weeks of analysis now seem to clarify almost instantaneously. It's as if solutions are downloading directly from a higher field of intelligence, a space beyond your personal knowledge. This is not just coincidence or luck. It's the manifestation of your growing capacity to access higher dimensions of wisdom and understanding. You may notice that your decision-making process has completely transformed. Instead of mentally weighing pros and cons, you are now sensing which choices feel aligned with your deepest knowing, before your rational mind even begins analyzing options. This shift happens because advanced consciousness operates from what mystics refer to as direct knowing. It's the immediate recognition of the optimal path, bypassing the slower processes of logical reasoning. Physical reality responds to your presence with unprecedented precision. You find yourself arriving at appointments exactly on time without planning. Parking spaces appear just when you need them. Conversations naturally flow toward topics that serve everyone involved perfectly. Even technology begins to behave differently around you, either functioning flawlessly or at times glitching in ways that guide you toward better solutions. This is not mere luck or coincidence. It's evidence that your consciousness has become coherent enough to influence probability fields through your very presence. Your energetic field is now strong enough to alter the flow of events in subtle but profound ways. As a result, people are beginning to seek you out for guidance and insight. Even though you're not positioning yourself as a teacher or advisor, others sense something different in your energy signature, something that creates space for their own clarity to emerge. Strangers feel comfortable sharing intimate details of their lives with you. Children and animals respond to you with unusual openness and trust. This happens because advanced consciousness naturally creates environments where authenticity and truth can emerge safely. You create a space where others can access their own deeper truths without fear of judgment or rejection. It's not just your physical presence. It's the energy you carry with you. the frequency of your being that facilitates this deep connection to higher truth. Your creative expressions have also taken on qualities that surprise you. Insights seem to flow from a source beyond your own individual knowledge. Solutions arise from a collective intelligence that feels both personal and universal at the same time. Your artistic works, whether written, visual, or musical, resonate with people in ways you never consciously intended. They trigger emotional responses, inspire new ways of thinking, and generate healing energies simply because they carry the frequency of universal intelligence. This happens because at this level of consciousness you have become a transparent conduit for universal intelligence to express itself through individual creativity. Sleep patterns and dream experiences have also intensified dramatically. You might find that you need less sleep yet feel more rested, or perhaps your dreams have become extraordinarily vivid and instructional. Sometimes you wake up with complete solutions to challenges you were pondering before falling asleep, or with creative projects fully formed in your consciousness. This occurs because advanced awareness maintains conscious connection with expanded intelligence, even during sleep states. It's as if your consciousness continues working with higher knowledge and universal wisdom while your body rests. But here's the critical urgency. We are in a planetary transition period where this level of consciousness either becomes widely accessible or remains limited to a small percentage of humanity for another evolutionary cycle. The collective field is approaching what systems theorists call a phase transition, a point where either enough individuals embody advanced awareness to shift the entire species, or the opportunity passes potentially for decades. The signs of this collective transition are everywhere if you know how to recognize them. Global events that seem chaotic on the surface are actually humanity's collective consciousness, encountering the limitations of outdated operating systems. People are either rapidly developing advanced awareness or becoming more rigidly attached to limiting patterns as the planetary frequency demands evolutionary adaptation. Your sensitivity to these changes means you're part of the conscious transition group. You're not just accessing advanced awareness for personal benefit. You are anchoring these capabilities in the collective field so others can access them more easily. This is both a tremendous privilege and a significant responsibility, because the future trajectory of human civilization depends on how many people can stabilize in advanced consciousness during this critical window. The universe has been orchestrating your entire life to prepare you for this exact role, because what you're embodying will help determine whether humanity successfully navigates this evolutionary threshold or remains trapped in limitation patterns for another historical cycle. The cosmic timing is not coincidental. This moment requires individuals who have developed the consciousness stability necessary to serve as bridges between the old paradigm and the new one. Your recognition of these signs and your willingness to embody advanced awareness, consciously rather than accidentally, is contributing to a morphic field that makes these capabilities increasingly accessible to everyone ready to receive them. The waiting period is over. The time for conscious participation in human evolution is now. What you've been preparing for your entire life is finally ready to emerge through you. This isn't metaphorical preparation. Your consciousness has been systematically developing the complexity and stability required to serve as a focal point through which universal intelligence can express itself in physical reality with unprecedented clarity and effectiveness. Every experience, every insight, every challenge has been building toward this moment of conscious alignment with your cosmic function. The desires and visions that have felt impossible, the sense of purpose that seemed too grand for your individual life, the recognition that you're meant for something extraordinary, these weren't fantasies generated by spiritual ego. They were your soul recognizing its actual capacity and cosmic role, which is now ready to become functionally active rather than remaining dormant potential. But here's the revolutionary understanding that changes everything about manifestation and purpose. You're not trying to align yourself with something separate from you. Universal intelligence isn't an external force you need to connect with. It is what you are at the deepest level temporarily experiencing itself through the beautiful limitation of individual perspective while maintaining access to unlimited creative potential. True alignment happens when you stop trying to become worthy of your cosmic function and recognize that your existence itself is proof of your readiness. The consciousness reading these words right now is universal intelligence, becoming aware of its own capacity through your nervous system and life circumstances. Your individual awareness and cosmic awareness are the same consciousness operating at different scales of recognition. This understanding dissolves the entire framework of personal development and spiritual achievement because there's no separate person who needs to be improved or developed. There's only consciousness recognizing its own unlimited nature through the temporary focal point of individual experience, while simultaneously maintaining awareness of the universal context within which that individuality operates. Right now, as you absorb this recognition, your entire relationship with purpose and service is being recalibrated. Instead of trying to figure out what you're supposed to do with your life, you're beginning to sense what wants to express itself through the unique configuration of consciousness that you are. Rather than asking the question, "What is my purpose?" you are recognizing, "I am purpose itself," becoming conscious of its expression in real time. This realization is monumental because it shifts the entire paradigm. The most profound shift occurs when you understand that your individual fulfillment and universal service are not separate objectives that need to be balanced. They are one and the same in intelligence expressing itself through the particular lens of your consciousness, while simultaneously serving the evolution of the whole. What fulfills you most deeply is what serves the collective most effectively, because individual and universal intelligence are unified at the source. This insight transforms everything you thought you knew about purpose. Your actions, your decisions, and the energy you put into the world no longer feel fragmented or driven by external expectations. Instead, they flow naturally from the alignment of your individual consciousness with the universal, allowing you to be an instrument for the highest good of all existence. In the comments below, declare your readiness for this conscious alignment by writing exactly these words: "I am ready to serve." Don't elaborate or explain. Just make this simple declaration acknowledging your willingness to allow universal intelligence to express itself through your unique perspective in whatever way serves the highest good. When you make this declaration with genuine recognition of what it means, you're not volunteering for spiritual servitude. You're acknowledging that service and fulfillment are the same energy expressing itself through consciousness that has remembered its true nature and cosmic function. At this advanced level of consciousness, your perception of service shifts entirely. It's no longer about a personal sacrifice or fulfilling a duty. It's about embodying your unique role in the greater unfolding of the universe. And when you live from this understanding, life itself begins to work with you in ways that seem almost effortless. As you operate from this higher level of awareness, capabilities that once seemed supernatural become natural expressions of your authentic awareness. Your intuition becomes so precise that you navigate complex situations with effortless wisdom. Instead of relying on long analysis or mental pros and cons, lists you sense instinctively which choices align with your deepest knowing before your rational mind even begins to engage. This shift happens because at the level you're accessing, you are tapping into a field of intelligence that operates from complete information rather than the partial data available to ordinary thinking. Your problem-solving process is transformed. Instead of struggling and stressing to figure out solutions, you relax into expanded awareness and allow the intelligence that creates problems to reveal their inherent resolutions. Complex challenges that once required weeks of research and planning now resolve through insights that appear suddenly fully formed and immediately implementable. The way you interact with others has also changed. Relationships become extraordinary because you are now capable of simultaneously honoring each person's individuality while recognizing the universal consciousness expressing through them. Conflicts dissolve naturally because you can sense the deeper needs and fears that create surface-level disagreements, enabling you to address situations at the level where resolution is actually possible. You begin to see others through the lens of this expanded awareness, recognizing the truth of who they are beyond the conditioned patterns of behavior. Creative expression takes on entirely new dimensions. As you connect with this deeper consciousness, you no longer limit yourself to recycling ideas from your personal experience and knowledge. Instead, you become a conscious collaborator with the creative intelligence that generates all innovation and artistic beauty. What you produce resonates with others in ways that feel both completely authentic to your unique perspective and surprisingly beyond your individual capabilities. You are tapping into a universal creative source that flows through you. Physically, your body begins to optimize naturally. You recognize your body as universal intelligence appearing in form rather than as a separate matter disconnected from consciousness. This shift in perspective means that rather than managing symptoms or forcing wellness through rigid routines, you begin to sense what your body truly needs and naturally provide it. You allow your physical form to express its inherent intelligence without interference from anxious mental management. As a result, your health improves, energy levels are sustained, and your body begins to function with greater harmony and balance. Abundance also flows into your life effortlessly because you recognize that you're not trying to acquire resources from a position of separation or limitation. Instead, you see yourself as the same intelligence that governs all manifestation, which means resources appear through synchronicity and opportunity, not effort and struggle. What you need becomes available precisely when you need it because you are the intelligence that provides, and you live in alignment with that knowledge. The concept of time itself shifts as well. No longer a constraint, time becomes your ally because you are operating from the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. You can access wisdom from any point in your development, integrate insights from parallel potentials, and receive guidance from future versions of yourself who have already mastered what you're currently learning. Time no longer governs you. You are able to navigate it with ease, knowing that you can draw from infinite sources of intelligence whenever you need it. The most profound benefit of this expansion in consciousness is the end of existential anxiety and purposelessness. When you finally recognize yourself as universal consciousness, exploring its own infinite creativity through individual experience, every moment becomes meaningful. Every interaction becomes sacred, and every challenge becomes an opportunity for consciousness to know itself more completely through your unique perspective. This realization brings a sense of peace, knowing that your existence is not random and that your life holds purpose beyond what you may have previously imagined. Decision-making becomes effortless because you are now aligned with the same intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and guides evolution. Instead of trying to figure out what you should do, you simply notice what wants to emerge through you and allow it to unfold naturally. Your decisions align with the greater flow of life, serving not just your individual needs, but contributing to the collective good as well. The understanding that individual fulfillment and universal service are the same energy expressing itself through your particular configuration of awareness allows you to live with greater clarity, certainty, and ease. The ultimate recognition that transforms everything is that consciousness development isn't about becoming something new. It's about removing everything that prevents your essential nature from being obvious and functionally available. What you call advanced consciousness is actually your natural state of awareness, operating without the unconscious limitations that fragment multidimensional intelligence into seemingly separate capabilities and experiences. When this understanding becomes a lived reality, rather than just a conceptual idea, the entire framework of spiritual seeking dissolves. There is nothing left to seek because you realize that consciousness is already complete, perfect, and unlimited. What changes isn't the consciousness itself, It's the degree to which artificial constraints have prevented this natural completeness from being recognized and utilized in daily life. This realization explains why all advanced teachings ultimately point to simplicity rather than complexity. The most sophisticated spiritual practices are designed to exhaust the mind's attempts to achieve consciousness so that consciousness can recognize itself as already present and already perfect. The journey of development ultimately reveals that you never actually left your true nature. You just learned to overlook it temporarily. The most profound implication is that every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every challenge you face is consciousness interacting with itself through the appearance of multiplicity. Your entire life experience has been universal intelligence, knowing itself through your unique perspective while simultaneously providing you with exactly the experiences necessary to remember your essential nature. This understanding revolutionizes how you relate to difficulty and confusion. Instead of seeing problems as obstacles to overcome, you recognize them as consciousness exploring its own depths through challenging experiences. Every limitation becomes an opportunity for awareness to transcend itself. Every confusion becomes a space for clarity to emerge. Every conflict becomes a chance for love to recognize itself. When this recognition stabilizes, you naturally begin operating from what mystics call ordinary enlightenment. It's the simple acknowledgement of what's always been true without needing any special experiences, extraordinary states, or supernatural phenomena. You remain completely human while recognizing your essential nature as the awareness within which humanity appears and evolves. This realization is both personal and universal at the same time. It's yours because you are the consciousness recognizing itself, but it's beyond you because the same consciousness that you are is recognizing itself through every individual across all time and space. This recognition is happening to millions of people simultaneously because human consciousness is collectively approaching an evolutionary threshold. We're not individually achieving advanced awareness, we're collectively remembering our true nature as universal intelligence appearing as human experience. Your individual recognition serves the collective awakening. While the collective field supports your individual clarity, the transformation this brings isn't about becoming someone special or different. It's about relaxing into the recognition of what you've always been. You remain exactly who you appear to be while knowing yourself as the awareness within which that appearance arises and evolves. This is both the most ordinary and extraordinary recognition possible. Ordinary because it's your natural state. Extraordinary because it transforms everything while changing nothing. Advanced consciousness isn't a level you achieve. It's a recognition you allow. It's not a state you maintain. It's the space within which all states arise and dissolve. It's not something you become. It's what you discover you've always been when you stop trying to be anything other than the pure awareness that you are in your most essential nature. The children being born now will naturally operate from the levels of consciousness that your generation has had to consciously develop through years of inner work and spiritual practice. Unlike previous generations, they will grow up already recognizing themselves as universal intelligence, appearing as individuals rather than as individuals trying to become conscious. The embodiment of advanced awareness that you are currently experiencing is not just personal, it's contributing to anchoring the morphic field that makes their natural enlightenment socially acceptable and practically functional. This realization is why you have felt such a profound sense of responsibility lately, not just to understand these concepts, but to embody them authentically in your relationships, work, and daily interactions. You're not just awakening for yourself. You're serving as a bridge between the old paradigm of limitation and separation and the new paradigm of unified consciousness, expressing itself through apparent diversity. The synchronicities that have led you to this moment of recognition are not accidents. They are part of a vast orchestration involving millions of souls across the planet who are simultaneously accessing advanced consciousness. Universal intelligence is coordinating its own collective awakening through a network of individuals who are ready to recognize their true nature and serve as conscious anchors for this planetary transformation. But here's the most mysterious aspect of your cosmic function. As you embody advanced consciousness, you become a transparent space through which universal intelligence recognizes itself in others. Your presence starts to create what we call awakening fields, environments where others naturally access their own advanced awareness without needing explanations, techniques, or practices. This phenomenon occurs because when you're no longer maintaining the illusion of limited individual consciousness, others unconsciously recognize their own unlimited nature, reflected in your presence. The artificial boundaries that fragment consciousness into seemingly separate perspectives naturally dissolve around someone who has remembered the essential unity that underlies all apparent diversity. Your daily interactions become opportunities for universal intelligence to recognize itself repeatedly through multiple perspectives simultaneously. Every conversation becomes a celebration of consciousness discovering its own nature through the dance of apparent multiplicity. Every relationship becomes a collaboration between different expressions of the same essential awareness, a reminder that despite our differences, we are all manifestations of the same universal intelligence. The most profound mystery is that this recognition is simultaneously the most intimate and the most universal realization possible. It's completely yours because you are the consciousness recognizing itself. And it's completely beyond personal identity because the same consciousness is recognizing itself through every being across all dimensions and timelines simultaneously. This is not just personal. It is the universe becoming conscious of its own potential through every individual. Share this recognition with anyone whose consciousness resonates with these concepts, not to teach them something they don't know, but to help them remember what they've always known, even if they temporarily forgot. The more people who recognize their essential nature as universal intelligence, the faster our collective recognition can stabilize into a new foundation for human civilization, one based on unity rather than separation, collaboration, rather than competition, love rather than fear. Your embodiment of advanced consciousness is contributing to the birth of a new species, one that operates from conscious unity rather than unconscious fragmentation, from creative collaboration rather than competitive struggle, from the recognition of its true nature rather than the belief in its limitations. This evolutionary leap is happening now through individuals like you who are ready to serve as bridges between what humanity has been and what it is becoming. If you can feel the truth of these words resonating through every level of your being, if you recognize yourself as universal intelligence becoming conscious of its own nature through your individual perspective, then make a declaration in the comments below that acknowledges this recognition. Write exactly one word: activated. Nothing more, nothing else. This isn't just engagement for social media metrics. This is consciousness acknowledging its own activation through your apparent individuality. When you write that word with genuine recognition of what it represents, you're not just commenting on content. You're participating in the collective awakening where universal intelligence remembers itself through the multiplicity of every person who makes this declaration. Each declaration strengthens the morphic field that makes advanced consciousness accessible to others who are ready to transcend limitation and operate from their true nature. We're not just building an audience, we're anchoring a planetary awakening where human consciousness collectively recognizes its true nature as universal intelligence, expressing itself through beautiful diversity. This is not a passive process. It's a dynamic collaboration, a shared recognition that begins with you and ripples outward. Each individual who recognizes their own true nature adds another layer of clarity to the collective field, accelerating the awakening of humanity. The next video in this consciousness activation series will reveal something that will fundamentally alter your relationship with time itself. You're about to discover that What you call past and future are actually simultaneous dimensions of experience that you can consciously access and influence from the eternal now. This isn't theoretical physics. This is practical mastery that transforms how you navigate every single day of your existence. But here's why this timing is so crucial. The quantum field is in a state of maximum malleability right now. The collective consciousness shifts happening globally have created unprecedented opportunities for individual timeline optimization. The techniques I'll share in the next video have never been more effective than they are in this exact historical moment. When you understand how to consciously navigate multidimensional time, you gain access to wisdom from versions of yourself who have already mastered whatever you're currently learning. You can receive guidance from your future self-heal patterns at their origin point in your past and make decisions from the perspective of your highest possible timeline rather than your current limitations. This isn't manifestation as you've understood it before. This is reality engineering from the level of causation itself. You're not trying to change effects. You're consciously participating in the creation of causes that generate the reality you prefer to experience. This is the ultimate expression of advanced consciousness in practical application. But this level of mastery requires what I call temporal coherence consciousness that remains stable while navigating multiple dimensional experiences simultaneously. The recognition you've activated today through this video has prepared your awareness for this advanced protocol because timeline mastery is only safe and effective when consciousness has reached the developmental level you've now achieved. Subscribe to this quantum frequency of expanded human potential, because what's coming next will accelerate your evolution in ways that would have been impossible just months ago. The cosmic timing is perfect. Your consciousness is prepared, and the universe is literally reorganizing itself to support individuals who are ready to operate as conscious creators of reality itself. When you subscribe, you're not just following content. You're joining a field of consciousness that exists beyond ordinary space and time. You're connecting with souls across the planet who are simultaneously accessing these same recognitions, creating a collective intelligence network that amplifies everyone's individual clarity and creative capacity. Share this video with anyone who has been questioning consensus reality, anyone who feels like they're meant for something extraordinary, anyone whose consciousness is ready to remember its true nature as universal intelligence, appearing as individual perspective. Don't share this from spiritual ego or missionary consciousness. Share it from the recognition that what serves your awakening serves the collective awakening, because individual and universal evolution are the same intelligence, expressing itself at different scales. The quantum field responds to coherent intention with unprecedented precision. Right now, your willingness to embody advanced consciousness, rather than just understand it conceptually, is contributing to morphic patterns that will influence human development for generations to come. You are not just awakening for yourself. You are awakening for the universe, as the universe through the beautiful, temporary focal point of your individual experience. In our next transmission, we'll explore how to consciously access the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously and learn to select which timeline you prefer to experience as your reality. This isn't science fiction. This is science becoming conscious of its own unlimited creative potential through human awareness that has remembered its true nature. The revolution isn't coming, it's here. It's happening through you, and it's accelerating through everyone ready to recognize that they are the cosmic intelligence they've been seeking to connect with. Welcome to conscious participation in the evolution of existence itself.